At that dinner in Indiana, Booker was kind enough to invite me down to Clermont, Kentucky. He said, Greg, you bring some beer, I'll bring the bourbon, we'll sit out on the rocking chairs on the front porch and tell stories. I said, boy, that sounds fantastic. Unfortunately, my one regret is I didn't make it down before we lost Booker.
Hey, Greg.
Hey, Fred, great to see you.
Seeing you.
But I get to come down today and have a drink of bourbon and some Bourbon County Stout with his son, Fred Noe. And I think Booker will be there with us in spirit. So that is something I've been looking forward to for over 20 years.
Take it easy. I come up here, pour me a glass of liquor, and sit here and let the world roll by.
Well, thank you, Fred, for having me up. I'm about 23 years since your father, Booker, invited me up here.
Well, I'm glad you made it. Yeah, Dad, I'm sure when he invited you, he wanted you to come. I would have given him an excuse to get up here and do this himself. But I'll stand in for him today.
Yeah, I think you're a pretty darn good stand-in.
You know, Dad, at that same period of time, Greg was developing his small batch bourbons, and you know, he was extra aging the bourbon. You know, the Knob Creek, for example, he was aging it out longer, bottling it higher proofs to give it more flavor, much like you were doing with your beer. I mean, you know, he was coming up with something unique for the person who wants something big and bold and flavorful. And that's kind of been what we hang our Knob Creek hat on, is big, bold flavor. And I know your beer is very good, and it's kind of the same motif. Dad always enjoyed big, bold flavor, and even in his beer. It was funny, when we'd be fishing, he would take a beer, if we had beer in the cooler, a lot of times we did, he would take his out, set it beside him in the boat, and let it warm up. He said, so I can taste it better.
There you go.
He wanted more flavor. He didn't want it good and cold. It don't matter if it's 100 degrees. I said, don't you want it cold? No, I like it room temperature. And he is right, you know, warmer beer, you get more flavor. And he always assessed the flavor of everything that went across his lips. It didn't matter if it was something he's eating for supper, or a drink of whiskey, or a beer, or wine, or whatever. Dad always was looking for flavor. And I'm sure he'd be proud to sit here with us right now and have a little drink and talk about the day he met you up there in Indiana, because it's, I know he always did enjoy his beer for sure.
That was quite a night, and boy, he certainly inspired me by taking a great whiskey and making it even more interesting, more complex, and those bigger, bolder flavors in Knob Creek. Not to mention his namesake Bookers and all the others.
Yeah, he really, to be honest, rekindled the fire. And I think today the bourbon renaissance kind of goes back to those early days of Dad traveling around, doing dinners like he did with you, introducing people to super premium bourbons and showing them how to enjoy them. It wasn't about a shot, it's about sipping and savoring and enjoying the flavor that was in there.
Takes a lot of time to make a good bourbon.
Yes, sir.
Might as well spend some time enjoying it.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
Well, I wanna be your loving man. Oh, can't you see? I need you bad. Oh, honey, please, don't walk away.
So, Jared, you want to taste a little bourbon?
Me.
Hammer there, you can just kind of knock that tongue out on either side. We call it a whiskey thief. Just drop it in there and let it fill up. Right. This barrel here is 11 years old, which I think the barrels that you're going to use in your Bourbon County is going to be bourbon barrels with bourbon have been in that same age. I'm sure that the barrels that we're going to be sharing with you to use for your beer would be much like the barrels my father shared with Greg years ago. I mean, back then, I know Dad gave him extra aged barrels, and I'm sure they'll have a little bit of juice left in them. We're kind of going back and revisiting something my dad did. And I think it's pretty cool for me to be able to do something that Booker did many years ago. And so we're kind of revisiting that with you, and I think it'll be cool. And we'll see when it comes out how good the beer is.
Yeah, you bet. I think it's awesome to take the whole thing kind of full circle.
It's real cool.
And these barrels, from what I'm tasting right now,
they're going to be all right?
I think they're going to be just fine. There's plenty in there for sure.
That's good. That's good to hear.
Mine to stay.
You guys are hitting 25 years with Knob Creek, which is it's quite an accomplishment in and of itself. And so, that idea of small batch was kind of the concept for this most recent collaboration that we're doing here. So we've got some of those barrels that contributed to that 25th anniversary Knob Creek, and we took Bourbon County Stout and put it into just those barrels and aged them for an extended period of time. So what we might see from that, and what we're hoping for, is to get some nice distinction that's kind of unique to those barrels. It is pretty interesting, though, to think about 20 some odd years later, starting out with four barrels that Greg Hall got from your dad, and how far along Bourbon County's come, and where it is in its place in our industry, and Knob Creek and its, right?
The Knob Creek barrels will work really well with your beer, and it's a great marriage in heaven that Booker and Greg did many years ago, and we're just lucky enough to be able to hang out here and drink the beer later. It's good.
You bet. You bet.
None of your tricks don't work out the same way, and I feel like I'm bought and sold, just falls too fast into growing old.
Wow, big flavor there, Greg. I know my father would really enjoy this beer.
Well, there's no greater praise than that. Thank you very much.
Cheers to that.